Relationship Realities with Reyna. I'm going to be bringing you a little funny, a little crazy, and a whole lot of reality. Well, welcome back, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode. We have so much to discuss today, so definitely sit back. You're probably listening to this at home because everybody's on lockdown right now. Grab a glass of wine, grab your coffee, grab whatever you're going to grab, and let's have a chat. So first, wanted to discuss some changes that we're going to be making with the podcast. And I'm sure that you've noticed, if you're following us on social media, that our name is going to be changing. There have been a few things that I've realized recording the last couple episodes that our direction is really kind of changing. And, we're not just talking about relationships, we're talking about life, and we're talking about realizations, and we're talking about all kinds of things that people go through their daily lives. And it really is something that I'm very passionate about. And it's something that when Roland and I first started this podcast, that I had discussed. I discussed that I really enjoyed discussing things with people and really kind of taking a deep dive into why they do the things that they do and all of the interpersonal dynamics that happen throughout people's lives. And for that reason, we're going to change up the name of the podcast. So you'll definitely be seeing all of that information coming out. You'll be seeing our new logo. You'll be seeing, the new name. And obviously, if you're listening, you've probably seen it already, but the new name is going to be Relationships and Realizations. So it's something a little bit different. It's keeping the same tone of the podcast, but it's kind of expanding because that's really what we've been doing for the last few episodes. And not just the last few episodes, honestly, it's something that we've been doing for a while now. And, I really wanted the name of the podcast to really reflect, the direction that we were going in. Obviously, I've taken the helm of the podcast, and Roland is still helping me behind the scenes and doing a lot of our audio and our editing and things like that. But he has so much going on with all of the other projects that we work on that it really was pulling us in two different directions and not being able to put all of our focus onto what was important to us. And so for that, obviously that's why you're not hearing Roland with me, and I've really kind of taken over the podcast. So sorry guys, you're stuck with me. So if you didn't like listening to my voice before, you're kind of SOL, because my voice is really going to be the one voice that you're hearing constantly. So anyhow, with that being said, let's jump into this week's episode. This week's episode, we're going to be discussing loving when you're ready, not when you're lonely. So I had posted up something again on our social media, and if you're not following us on social media, you definitely need to do that. You can find all of our social media at rrwithrr.com. Again, that's rrwithrr.com. We have all of our social media there, as well as our blog and videos and all kinds of other good stuff. So anyhow, I had posted this quote, and it was something that really hit me because it's something that the majority of us, unfortunately, go through at some point in our relationship lives. And there are varying reasons for it. There are some people that are just afraid to be by themselves. So they just jump from relationship to relationship. And if you think of a friend that you have, I'm sure all of us have a friend that's like that, where it never seems like they're ever single. And if they are, they're not single for very long, or they're in the process of finding another relationship. And, I have friends and I have some family members that I have to not say people's names when I meet or go to a gathering because I'm not sure if the name that I'm going to say is the correct name. So when I greet people, I just say hello. I don't greet them by their name, which is very rude to me, but I don't want to say the wrong name and then get, my friend or a family member in trouble because this girl is different than the girl he brought to, another event just 2 days before or last week or whatever. So, there are those people, and I'm sure everybody has at least one of those in their lives. And hopefully it's not you, because if that's you, then you need to stop. But seriously, and other reasons that people jump from relationship, from one relationship to another, or they just jump into a relationship is, they don't even realize they're doing it. And then of course you have other people that, the easiest way for me to phrase it is the rebound, right? And I think most of us are guilty of this at one point or another. You get so used to being in a relationship, or, the new person is doing things that the current or previously ex person wasn't doing. So it's interesting, it's new, it's fresh, and you don't even realize that it's a rebound. And, at the time you are thinking, oh no, this is real, what I'm feeling. But looking back or on the outside looking in, you obviously know that that's not the case. And I can speak on that from personal experience. Quite a few years ago now, I was in a pretty toxic relationship, and the person, my ex at the time, had not dealt with a lot of the issues that he had from a previous relationship, and had not dealt with quite a few issues that he had from combat, basically. And, we were both active duty at the time, and we were both extremely motivated and extremely aggressive. And it was just in our personalities at the time. I was very career focused, as was he. And, we were at that time period, I guess, to kind of paint you a picture, for those that are not familiar, we were basically in the height of the Iraq conflict. And this was during the surge, right after Fallujah. I'm sure most of you heard about the Battle of Fallujah. And, my ex was in that battle. And, I can't even begin to imagine the stuff that he saw or that he dealt with. And unfortunately, at that time, mental health was not something that was talked about. So a lot of Marines from that time, a lot of service members from that time, didn't deal with any of the issues that they had, and he was one of them. And definitely not trying to paint him to be a bad person, because he wasn't a bad person. He just needed help that he was not getting. Not painting him to be a bad person, because he wasn't a bad person. He just wasn't getting the help that he needed at the time, and hopefully he has since then. But at the time, like I said, we were both extremely aggressive people, and both very career goal oriented. And unfortunately, when we would come home every day, we wouldn't leave it at the door like you're supposed to in a normal functioning relationship. You can discuss your work issues, and then that's it. You leave everything at the door. You don't bring it through the door. And that wasn't the case with us, unfortunately. If you know most military people, they have a very military mindset, and it stays with them. It stays with them 24/7. And unfortunately, when you have two military people together, especially with the dynamic that we had, it makes for an extremely volatile situation. And there were good times, obviously. We wouldn't have stayed together. If there wasn't, we wouldn't have gotten together if there wasn't. But the overall emotional relationship foundation was extremely toxic, and things that most relationships go through was definitely, you can take that and take it to like the 10th degree. And those are the types of things. We wouldn't argue. We would have like screaming matches, and we would, be very physical, and not in a good way. So, towards the end of that relationship, there was someone else that was showing interest in me, and I knew that my current relationship was over. I had already started moving my stuff out, like everything was done. And this other person was very different, a lot less aggressive, more willing to talk. And at the time, I mistook my feelings for genuine feelings, for genuine emotion. And, I really had blinders on, basically. And again, the new person wasn't a bad guy. He was a nice guy. He was a very nice guy. Just was not, if I was in my right mind, not to sound crazy, but if I would have not just come out of a toxic relationship, I definitely would not have even flirted with the idea of dating him, because he just wasn't my type. I just didn't see a future there. There was absolutely nothing about him that I could say, yes, this is someone that I could potentially, see myself with long term, at all. And of course, hindsight is always 20/20. And at the time, I mistook the emotions that I had for genuine feelings for him, and that was wrong. Obviously, knowing that now, there's no hard feelings between him and I now. We don't talk on a daily basis, but anytime that we've ever run into each other, we're very cordial to each other. There's no animosity. I realized pretty quickly into that new dating situation that it was not going to work. But unfortunately, I even put myself into the situation in the first place, and I shouldn't have, because I had so much baggage and so many issues that I had to work through from, the toxic relationship. And one of the ways that a lot of people deal with things is they don't. They just put everything into a box, and they push the box down, and they just don't even deal with it. And people have the mindset that this is me and you're going to deal with me. And if you don't want to deal with me the way that I am, then I don't need to be with you. And guess what, guys? That is the wrong way to look at things, because we're always growing. You are always growing. You are always changing. You are always evolving. And if you can't, then there's a problem, because you shouldn't want to stay the same. You should want to be a better person. You should want to deal with the issues that you have, or that you've had, or that you've gone through. And yes, your essence of who you are should be the same. It should stay the same. But the bad things about you, the fact that you are not willing to compromise, that's something bad. You should want to compromise with your significant other, because that's how a relationship is. That's how a successful relationship is. There are a lot of things I'm sure that Roland doesn't want to do, but he does them because he loves me, and he knows that it's something that I enjoy doing. I enjoy going to the craft store probably every other day. And I'm sure that Roland is tired of seeing the inside of the craft store. But guess what? He goes with me because he knows that I appreciate it, and he knows that I like going there. And for me, it's something that I appreciate that he's willing to do for me. And sometimes he enjoys playing games, and I leave him alone to play his games because he's had a stressful day. And even though I'd rather, talk his ear off, I don't, because that's something that he enjoys doing. So there are compromises. Obviously, there are lines to everything. You don't want to compromise so much that you lose yourself in the relationship. But that's up to you to know what is a healthy boundary and what's an unhealthy boundary. And the only way that you'll know that is if you take the time to heal from your previous relationships. Because if you just go from one to another, how are you ever going to know who you are as a person if you're just with all of these different people? And I mean, it could even just be from one person to one person. That's still not taking the time to let go of your baggage, unpack everything. Don't hold it inside. Don't bring it with you. It's not fair to the next person. And not only that, but is it really fair to the person to jump into a relationship with them just because you want companionship? No, not really. I mean, if you're honest with them and you tell them up front and they're okay with it, I mean, more power to you. But most people, if you jump into a relationship, want that reciprocation of emotion. So that's all I'm saying. Well, that is it for this episode. I think I've talked your guys' ear off enough. If you go to our Facebook page, I'm going to have a poll up. I'm really interested to hear what you guys think. And our question this week is going to be, do you think that it's possible to develop feelings for somebody if you jump into the relationship when you're lonely? So in other words, if you jump into the relationship with somebody, you're not really feeling it, it's because you're lonely. Do you think it's possible to develop feelings, or is it doomed from the start? I'm really curious to hear your guys' thoughts on that. So that's going to be up on our Facebook page. And again, you can get to our Facebook page from our website, rrwithrr.com. Well, guys, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And all of our podcasts going forward are going to have our new logo, are going to have our new look, going to have a new feel. And all of the podcasts going forward are going to have the new look, the new feel, and hopefully you like it. I would love to hear your feedback. So please leave your feedback on any of our social media pages. Definitely leave it here. Please share the podcast. We definitely love hearing from everybody, and we love new listeners. So share, like, share some more. But until next week, everybody, talk to you later.